What's up, y'all? Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. Yet another socially distant Tuesday night. We're going to get started here in just 1 second. It's like this kind of marks the week more than weekends mark weeks at this point in time. I feel like. All right, let's get started.
Are we getting punked?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I'm working on my intro.
AGH, Eric. Thank you so much for being with us on a Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. This is, thank God, it's Tuesday. And because we can't be right next to each other tonight, we're going to be right up in each other's ears. And I am joined tonight by Tim Strachan.
What's going on, my man? I mean, I miss you. I didn't think that was ever going to come out of my mouth, Ken, that I miss seeing your face, dude. And distance has certainly made my heart grow fonder for you and Kevin and all our listeners. Yeah. I know we're going to figure out a video solution here soon, but I got to start seeing you guys again, man.
I don't know, when you see the video of this, you might rethink that statement. But I do appreciate it, and I feel the same way, obviously. And I can't wait to do some kind of an auto tuning remix to you talking about missing me. It's going to be a great meme, and I think Kevin.
And then you just make it creepy.
And our main man Kevin Ricka is going to do a TikTok to it. Kevin Ricka, I assume you're working on your cutoff jean shorts as we speak.
Already sitting here working on the choreography, and I am. As I stare at you, I have this thought, this image that we should go with Carnival Barker in a dunk tank. And I'm not sure if you're the one throwing it, going in the tank, or hooting and hollering, but you look very versatile tonight from here, and I appreciate that. And is that really T. Strachan, or did someone else grab his cell phone? I'm not sure what's going on over there.
I know, that was an emotional entrance.
It was.
But T and
this time in isolation has made me an emotional man.
You're starting to feel your feelings.
Reflection.
I love it.
And I'm okay with it. I'm embracing it.
Tuesday is the new Tuesday. I feel like it's the new Tuesday because every day is the same. Weekends and weekdays no longer have true meaning for the most part, and Tuesdays are still special in their Tuesdayness. I mean, this is getting to a Tuesday every week for me is an achievement and an accomplishment and a celebration. I mean, come on.
It just kind of reminds me that I actually do know what day it is, which I think is fantastic. That's the day to do this. So, yeah, it gives you like a little marker, a little buoy in the ocean of what we're doing here.
I agree. I think Sundays usually mark like, okay, you know which day Sunday is. That's the day you get ready for everybody to go to school. That marker is now Tuesday because this is the only thing I actually have scheduled in my calendar every week.
Well, we have
very nice calendar. Cool.
Well,
nice to have a clear calendar.
Calendar day is coming up because right now we don't need any calendars. We don't, as far as what number day it is and what day of the week it is, for what we have going on inside of our homes, for the most part, it's rendered somewhat meaningless. But T, we do have an event. I think the lack of events in this world has been like one of the, I don't know, toughest part. All events, good ones, bad ones, just events where we're together. And it won't be the same as it always is, but we are doing the draft next Thursday night. We are looking forward to hosting all of our same friends with us. We know there's going to be other stuff going on with only TV to produce. For people who are only watching TV, we understand there's going to be some good TV that night. The NFL knows what they're doing. But we will also be joining in watching along with that and building up to the Redskins pick at number 2 overall. That's next Thursday night. I think we're going live somewhere around 7. We have some awesome guests. We can announce. T, can we announce it? The first guest?
Let's not announce it yet.
Okay.
But let's
All
just
right.
say we do have some very special guests that will
Nobody
be joining us on that night and maybe even days prior too.
and days prior to, without a doubt. Well said, T, because if in
Well,
fact
I mean, we
Chase Young,
can announce that Dino Campbell,
yep,
now back with DeMatha High School as defense coordinator, was defense coordinator back at DeMatha when Chase Young played there. He is going to join us next Tuesday night to give us just a rundown of, he knows Chase really well and has been following him throughout his whole career, and Dino being just a huge staple in local football here, not just as a DeMatha or St. John's coach, but everybody knows who Dino is, and it's going to be a lot of fun. He's got stories. He's got a great way of talking about it. He loves the game of football. It'll be a fun night next Tuesday night for sure.
That's Dino Campbell, Chase Young's defensive coordinator from high school. Tomorrow night we got Mike Loxley, who is the head coach of University of Maryland football, and a guy who knows our conference very well. He came back to coach in this area and to cull talent from this area because of guys like Chase Young. He spent some time under Nick Saban over in Alabama, and that's going to be a fun night tomorrow. We have.
That's right. That's going to be live at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
5 o'clock
Ken
tomorrow
and
night.
I'll have Coach Loxley on.
That's going to be a lot of fun, T and Kevin. And I'll tell you what, and I mean tomorrow night, and I mean the draft party next week. I know that for the folks who come here on Tuesday nights, for the three of us, and for the people that will be able to pool in and have them weigh in on what is a very local story. We're a local crew, and Chase Young is a local story through and through. And so definitely join us for that. Kevin, we're gonna get. We're not getting out of here. We're just gonna talk about it openly and say we're getting Bernard on this show. I know he wants to be on, and we want him to be on.
He's a special guy. What a great guy. We're gonna get him on. He happens to be, and this might be the least famous title he owns, is the uncle of Chase Young,
yep,
neighbor of Chase Young, great man. He was my coach at Catholic University on the D line. He also happens to be the godfather of Steph Curry after going to Virginia Tech with Del Curry at the same era. He played defensive end opposite Bruce Smith. This
yep,
guy might have a few stories that you might want to talk about when we get him on here. Super interesting guy, PG County police officer, head football coach at St. Stephen's, and my man. Can't wait to talk to him about damn well anything.
Mustang.
McNamara Mustang, Catholic University Cardinal, WCAC guy.
Yep.
He's got all of it, man. He checks a million boxes. Mostly just a great dude and a great friend of ours.
We're going to start pulling this conversation back over the next 8 days to what makes sports great. And again, we've totally evolved, and we're just, at least I am, and guys, I know you never ever wanted to consider any other alternative. For me right now, I'm acting as if the Washington Redskins are drafting Chase Young at number 2, like that the pick is in, that we can begin the Chase Young era. I'm not trying to jinx anything, and I know that other things can possibly happen, but that's what I believe at this point in my mind. That's what I believe that the Redskins are going to do, and there's nothing bad about that at all. There's only greatness about that. So, and now's the time for a group like ours to talk about a player like this, because when a team drafts high in the first round, every fan wants to know what the risk is, what the gamble is. It's a precious resource, a number 2 overall draft pick is, and people can watch the Ohio State stuff, and they can watch a 3-minute report on ESPN Sports Center about Chase Young, but nobody knows guys like Chase Young like us. We've been covering them for a very long time, and we can be the people that get to help our fellow fans rest so much assured, because we know about this guy, Kevin. We know exactly what kind of young man he is, and what the Redskins are getting when they call his name number 2.
No, I've been saying it this week. We've been handed the lock of the decade. Let's not risk it. We're not getting into that, but we're not going to risk it on a 3-player parlay. Just go cash in. We're going to have this guy, I think, and I think you agree, as the face of the Ron Rivera culture change. And what better guy than a guy that we've seen grow up in the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference? We understand everything about this young man, who he surrounded himself with, his family, his schools, what he's done, and he is top notch, man. He is it's the least risky thing, and I just cannot wait until his name is called and we can stop worrying about it and just start thinking about how exciting it's going to be to have a player of his stature, something the best ranked defensive player coming out of college football in 10 years,
Yep.
coming to join us up, put on some burgundy and gold, and get after it on Sundays for a damn long time. I can't wait.
Chase Young, in addition to loving him as a Stag, which is a given,
You
talk
had me at Stag.
talk about how this idea, and I know we've had guys on our board and friends of ours who've yelled in the background, why can't the Redskins be the team that gets the best player in the draft ever? And that this year we'd be getting the best player in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think it's an argument there. Obviously Joe Burrow is going to go first for a whole host of other reasons, but
Yep.
he's the top dog, man, and he's nasty, and that fits with what Ron Rivera wants to build his team and his organization with. And you talked about it. Kevin's brought it up that he wants to bring in a guy on defense that kind of is going to be an anchor, and that's what Chase Young has been at every level that he's played at, starting back at the Matha. He finally got his chance at Ohio State behind the two Bosa brothers. Now people are saying he may even be better than the two of them. He's just got physical talent. There's a risk in everything that you do at this level, but the risk is very, very small when you're going with a guy like Chase Young. He marks every single box there is, and it would be stupid if they do anything but take Chase Young at number 2. And yeah, we should all be extremely happy about that.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at the board. Guys are excited to be done with the draft after the second pick. I wouldn't do that, Mr. Greg. I want him to also let everyone know who's sitting on the board tonight. We will have a section of this show where we're actually asking you guys if you can chime in with some questions. Doesn't have to just be Redskins, but it can be Redskins. As we lead up to the draft, any questions you guys might have that we can bat around, we'll get to that a little bit later. But before we move on, meaningfully, the issue that has, in my opinion, kind of eclipsed the Chase Young decision, because now that I'm embracing the Chase Youngness of our draft, that means that's all we get for the first 2 rounds, unless something happens with Trent Williams that doesn't look like it's happening right now, with regard to trading him and getting some assets. T, I'll ask you the question first.
Good. I'm glad it doesn't look that way, because that's usually when shit happens.
So what do you think's going to happen?
You're not hearing about it in the news is when things actually fly.
What's going to happen? What's the result? What's the end result of this whole situation?
For some reason, and this is not based on any knowledge of any sort or anything like that, I've had a gut feeling that it's going to involve a team, a player, and possibly later round draft picks, maybe not a first.
How can it not involve a team?
It's just been my gut that way, that it's going to come as a package of some sort of player at a position that we need. Not necessarily going to be like a top market guy, but a position of a player from a position that we need, and third or fourth or something like that.
So a third or fourth pick would be a shot to the Nads, because of what we were reportedly offered by multiple teams in the last 12 months when Bruce Allen decided to play games with Trent Williams.
I think it depends on who the player may be, if my scenario is right. And I'm not saying it is. Again, I'm just throwing that out there.
So it definitely depends on the player.
We've taken many of those shots to the Nats cans. We've got helmets on there now. We're not worried about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's time for this rebuild. And some of these offers, the Minnesota thing, the 3-way trade with the Chargers, that's the first time I've really seen someone report on what he was talking about. Later picks, a player, Riley Rice, he's a solid tackle, man. He started 112 out of 120 NFL games. And he's more than the throw-in that I thought he was, we talked about earlier. But just recently, the Cincinnati Bengals, it was reported in Sports Illustrated, and it was just speculation that they would certainly want a guy like right there, especially with Joe Burrow coming to town. I mean, with that situation with him protecting his left side, kind of like he would have done
Yeah.
for our guy. And the idea would be just to send us their third round pick, which is number 65. And if that was, it's essentially a second round pick. And
I love it.
I don't know if that's enough for us. I'm not sure, but I think I would take that. And then the other scenario was for us to send Trent and our third over there, and they'd give us number 33. That's interesting to me because of the way this draft looks. And I haven't really had a chance to sit down and think about it. I just saw it right before we jumped on. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about sending Trent, our third round pick, and getting their second round pick, which is number 33.
That would almost be as good, if not what they did last year in getting 2 first rounders.
It's a huge move up because we're at 66, I believe. So to move from 66 to 33 would be a big deal. And that means you have the opportunity to get an offensive lineman that you would expect to play for you right away at 33 overall. You're still, unfortunately, because of the depth of tight end at the draft, you're still probably not looking at a tight end that you're in love with at 33. Maybe a wide receiver that you didn't draft because you drafted Chase Young. Maybe one of those top 7 or 8 wide receivers, one of those guys is sitting there at 33. Or a defensive
Ken,
back.
That's what jumped out at me right away. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah.
I just can't get over the fact that we went after, a ton of money for Cooper. I really think we want to get a guy to help, Dwayne, a big play type guy, and Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State has all the abilities, all the game changing abilities that you look for in a first round draft choice. And there's a possibility a guy like that could be sitting right there, and I could see us doing something like that just because of our interest in Amari Cooper, of bringing in a young, ridiculously talented weapon to take care of business and get going with Dwayne Haskins right out the chute with our guy Scott Turner.
Yeah, so the Oklahoma State guy. You could be. You could be talking about Brandon Ayuk. Is that what you're talking about, Brandon Ayuk? The Arizona State guy?
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard him connected with the Redskins in some sort of trade scenario, whether it would be for that second pick or for Trent Williams.
T. Higgins.
He's right in that sweet spot there.
T. Higgins.
That explosive twitch that we've been looking for to go opposite Terry McLaurin. Oh, boy.
I would be a T. Higgins guy there. That's why I was saying we were making sure I had the Brandon Ayuk name right. T. Higgins is I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't be a first round pick, but they have I've seen him ranked number 30. I've seen him 33, 34 overall prospect wise, and just ahead of you probably be choosing between Ayuk and Higgins. I'm a Higgins guy. I don't know what else is there, Kevin, because I heard your reaction when I said offensive lineman at 33 overall. I know you're not getting anyone special and noteworthy there, but you could probably get a guy you could pay, $1 million a year and start for you for 2 or 3 years.
But I don't think you're getting a guy that is so much better than somebody you can get in the 4th round.
That's true. But some of these first round guys, those O tackles tend to go a little bit higher, like the quarterbacks do, value wise. And a guy like that would come in. I don't see a guy that we can plug and play. That's my only issue. So if this is a thing about the future, we got a developmental guy, but there's a lot of guys right there that they're saying could be a guard, could be a right tackle. Obviously, there's no comp to the athleticism of Trent Williams. He's one of the greatest big men athletes in sports of the last decade. That's unfair to reason that way, but it just, to me, to take an O lineman right there, I don't see the guy that would be left right there, especially the way the draft has gone in the past. Yeah, it would be awesome if one of these top 3, 4 guys, Andrew Thomas or something like that, were to slide. I get that, but jumping up into that second round, we would have to do that for a purpose, and whether it be wide receiver or cornerback, those are the 2 positions that jumped into my head. Just because, if you look at some of these tackles, you're looking at Austin Jackson, Ezra Cleveland, Josh Jones, Lucas Niang. All these guys have a big question mark. And a lot of them are going to be functional starters. But we need a left. Man, we need a left tackle. And Dwayne Haskins needs a left running attack. Needs a guy that can play right now. So, we'll see.
So my first reaction to getting the first pick in the second round is ever since they changed the format so that Thursday night's round one, right, and then Friday night starts round two, and that's
Yep.
ever since they
Two,
changed.
3 on Friday, 4 through 7 on Saturday.
Yeah. So ever since they went to that new format, the number 33 pick's value has changed because you have everyone making their first round business and then having essentially a day to reassess. And you've seen some pretty big deals. The number 33 pick ends up being a valuable asset that you can trade down from. So I would trade I would get rid of my third round pick for that second, knowing or believing that I could do better by trading down from that number two pick because I think there's GMs, especially the fact that they can't go anywhere. All these GMs are stuck at home in their basements playing basement GM, and just like all the rest of us, they can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. I'm telling you, people are gonna talk themselves into making bad deals. Well, maybe it's not the Redskins who getting that call at number two in the first round, but I guarantee you, if you're holding the 33rd pick and you have 32 GMs who are cabin fever licious and are dying to do something bold, your phone's gonna ring off the hook. And I think the Redskins could do pretty well by being able to trade down from 33.
You're just a wheeler and a dealer these days. We haven't even had the second pick. In fact, we don't have it.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about having it for 5 minutes, and now
You're like 3 or 4 moves ahead.
Come on.
Third. I'm with you, man. Like, this is the exciting part. Not only is it the exciting part every year, it's the most exciting part because it's all we got. All we got.
All right, so it is. I think that I think that we can't downplay enough what the impact of all this will be on the NFL. The NFL draft is the only sporting event of the pandemic. I mean, since it started, there's been nothing. No one's done anything. Free agents have been signed, but the NFL draft is an event, and it's going to happen. And it's literally the only thing on the planet in sports that's happening live and like for spectators. It is custom made for this scenario. Even though I'm sure the NFL hates the fact that they can't take over Vegas, I get it. But the NFL draft, we can't underplay the fact that there's going to be some psychological impact on the league for having to do it this way, and I think that's what's going to result in some stupid moves more than anything else. And I'd love the Redskins to be the beneficiaries, but this whole situation is playing out in such a weird way. I mean, the NFL is the only thing that's going to happen, and when it's over, it's the only thing that will have happened for another month. I mean, there's nothing. It's it. So something weird has to happen. By
Well, I don't
law.
know. I agree that somebody may overthink something and make a bad play. That happens every year in the draft. For these GMs and stuff like that, the way that the draft is going to be conducted should not probably be any different for them. The experience
Oh,
may
it
be a
is.
little different. They may not be in a war room with other people, but I mean, I don't know if it's going to be that different. I just love the fact that there's something to look forward to.
I hope they have better internet service than our man Andrew Griffiths Humphreys is having tonight. Because could you imagine what happens on this time-sensitive draft, and someone's got a bad connection? Like, you have to have a team of guys working on this. Someone just goes, someone's internet goes out. They lose contact with the outside world. Now what? Are we going to have people passing up? Like, I'm just curious to see how all that's going to work. It's pretty exciting, actually, from the basement.
Yes.
Someone else is in the basement trying to get things done. And we all know not a lot of great decisions are made in the basement, aside from the great decision of actually going to the basement.
Something weird has to happen. There's no way all these guys can be stuck at home. I mean, their life. While they have a nicer pad to hang out in, these GMs and their multi-million-dollar contracts, I'm sure they're doing just fine in the shutdown and the stay-at-home orders. But their world has been rocked too. They can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. This is their only way of reaching out into a world, for the most part, that anyone gets. So I expect some outlandish shit to go down. I really, honest to God, do.
Well, and you're right, because they're not being able to conduct the interviews like they normally would, or to see in person, guys working out. That may have some, that may have some ripple effect on what happens.
We got our
See,
first.
that's a huge
Could
point,
get weird.
and the one thing I think that does not benefit us, and I'm not saying this is a big problem, but it seems to me with our culture change and our guy bringing in Ron Rivera and everything he talked about with Dunbar and with Trent, he wanted to get in here and get to know these guys, be around them, get a feel for them. He seems like the type of guy that wants to stare you directly in the eye and read your soul. And he hasn't had the ability to do that with a lot of these guys, and that's got to be frustrating for him. So they're going to be relying on a lot of, word of mouth. And, I just think with our situation, what we're trying to build here from the ground up with our culture, it kind of stinks that our guy Ron Rivera, and I'm sure he's done plenty of this before the quarantine, but just the idea that he'd be the guy that wants to get out there and meet and greet, shake hands, be around, and get a feel for these young men. And I think that hurts a little bit, but you know what? Everyone's on the same page there. I just think we'll have to trust our guy and trust who he trusts in a lot of these situations.
Look, that's the beauty of being the number 2 pick. You don't need to sit down with a Chase Young to find out whether he's a dog. You know he's a dog. And I was reading an article today about Anthony McFarland, his former DeMatha teammate, Maryland running back that's coming out of the draft, who I'm hoping we're going to get on the show as well. I reached out to him, but he actually said in a recent interview about him and Chase Young being teammates, he said Chase made practice like horrendous. The guy just every single play wanted to win, and he would wreak havoc in practice. He goes, it was unbelievable when he first showed up, because Chase had transferred in his sophomore year. He said from the minute he showed up, this guy was a problem, and that was just in practice. If that's the kind of guy he was back then, and you see where he's evolved to now, you're getting a dog. That's the beauty of the number 2 this year, and all this stuff that we've been just talking about recently. That's why it's a low risk pick. I love it.
Well, I agree on that. I'm just talking about Rivera with these other guys, but I also got a chuckle as an old school offensive coordinator. It's run it again, get Chase off the field. You can't walk off that practice field without feeling good about some execution. And when that man's a single-handed blow-up mission, there's no chance you can get anything off. You can't even get the snap off. That's got to be funny to me. That's hysterical.
No, you're right, though. And you're right, though, Kevin. It's the guys in the 4th round, the 2 4th-round picks, the 2 7th-round picks, where those really fine details of what these guys do for a living. I mean, they don't leave a stone unturned, and they can't do that like they normally do. And I'm sure it's weighing in on their anxieties that when you're picking in those 2 4th-rounders or those 2 7th-rounders, those are sometimes the little things that you rely upon. Meeting a guy in person, looking him in the eye, watching him work out, in real time. Those are the things that make those decisions, and they don't have that luxury this year.
No boys named Sua. That's all.
No boys named Sua, but there is a man named Tua, and Rhett Donnelly has thank you for the segue opportunity there, Kev. The Rhett Donnelly has asked if anyone is in on Tua. I want to go easy on Rhett. Again, we're talking about a fellow Redskins fan who's been stuck in his basement for the last month, and starting to wonder if because when I saw him earlier this week, Rhett had a question. He had that look in his eye, like, is this something the Redskins are actually considering, like actually saying, screw it, let's draft Tua? I think the answer is honestly no. But just to throw it out there as a question to you guys in terms of how good do you think? I'll ask you guys, how good do you think Tua is going to be his rookie year? Just his rookie year. I don't care about how long his career is by injury or not. How good is he going to be a rookie year?
Go ahead, T.
I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball. When we were talking about low risk of taking a guy like Chase Young at number 2, the risk just got much wider when you're taking a guy like Tua with his injury history. He's not a prototypical size. Yes, he's got an incredible intellect, a great football IQ, and intangibles that don't necessarily fall on a piece of paper anywhere. But I don't think that he's going to come out gangbusters. I think he's going to have a normal rookie year where he's going to have some ups and downs. He's not going to lead them to anything spectacular, but he may show some signs of either he's a guy that's got it or he's a guy that doesn't.
Kev?
Yeah, 77 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, playing in the toughest schedule in the toughest conference. We know his deal. I think it's just a classic case of, he's going to be great. I just don't think it's the best fit. I don't think we can fire our entire training staff and then have this new rookie training staff come in and take on this hip injury plus everything else. I think at the quarterback position, we've dealt with enough. I mean, we got a spiral fracture sitting right there and a rookie going into his second year. I'm not certain we want to take a rookie on and pass up on anything else with that type of injury history. I hate it for him, but he's pretty damn good and he's tough. It's just not the best fit for us right now.
The margin of error is huge. The margin of error is huge.
Especially with a game breaker, generational guy sitting right there, chomping at the bit to stay at home and do it for the home crowd.
I'm pulling for Tua. I'd love him to be the story of the year. Why not? That'd be great. I just don't think I'm willing to, as a Redskins fan, have it happen here.
All fair. I don't know. I actually think he's going to have a pretty good 2 or 3 year arc. I got Haskins. I'm intrigued that I understand Haskins was kind of implied in some of your answer, but to me Haskins comes right to mind. Perfectly happy to let Haskins take the ball this year and show us what he's got for his rookie contract, and let Kyle Allen push him as much as you want in camp and go get. When I think of Chase Young, guys, a lot of times I hear like a pushback that we're only marginally improving a really, really good defensive lineup that features Payne, Allen, and Sweat.
Nah, man.
I know, and then
when I hear and read about Chase Young, the monologue of The Blind Side, the movie, the way it starts out, just runs in my head.
But what I'm saying though is they say we could have a more dramatic impact on another position group with a different pick, and the reason why I don't like that line of thinking, I don't think it's very wrong. I mean, we are strong at defensive line, we are weak in other places, so a number 2 overall pick by nature should drastically improve whatever position group we bring him into, whatever position he is. But you know who deserves the Redskins drafting Chase Young, in my opinion? This is Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, especially, and Matt Ioannidis, especially. Throw in a little Montez Sweat and Ryan Kerrigan if you want to. But to me, you spend 2 first-round draft picks on your interior of your defensive line, and by all accounts, you pretty much get those picks right. Then you have players that can play at an elite level at the point of attack on the defensive line, and you've made that decision as a franchise to put those guys in the middle of your defense, the heart of it. Don't you think they deserve Chase Young? Like that's kind of one of the things I see in the Chase Young pick is a doubling and tripling down on something we've already done right, and rewarding those guys with the ability to make them even better by putting Chase Young next to him.
A high tide raises all ships, and we bought some guys to get that tide to high. I mean, Landon Collins is sitting back there. Chase Young's chomping at the bit. Hopefully we can get a Reuben Foster healthy. I'm not sure if we can or can't, but you're talking about Kerrigan, Sweat, and the big boys up front with Ioannidis, Payne, and Allen. All of a sudden you take a peek around and you go, we got a bunch of dogs back here, not just 1 or 2. And a guy like Chase Young, I think he elevates the play of everyone around him. And I'm not just focusing on his rookie year either. This is a 5-year at minimum commitment to the defensive side of the ball. Yep. We don't know where some of these guys are going to be in 2 years. You can't just say it's just about this season. It's not. And obviously Rivera has said, let's do this the right way. And, I think Tua is a great culture guy, but, just not the right time for us. In fact, a lot of the news coming out of Miami this afternoon and today is a lot of the publications down there are saying Justin Herbert has moved up in front of Tua at the 5 spot for the Dolphins. And we both know, all 3 of us know, that it's time to lie. Lie your ass up right now for the next 7 or 8, 9 days. That's what's going to happen. But I'll be so happy when we just do what I think we're going to do. What a gift. What a gift. We went through that crappy season last year. This is the reward. Let's cash in.
Yeah, that's the formula that the San Francisco 49ers used, and it got them to the Super Bowl this past season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a great formula. You can't have enough talent on defense. All right, you can't say, I think we're good. We could probably do better somewhere else. No, you load that defense up. That only makes your team better.
And specifically an Ohio State rookie. So let's do it.
Yeah, we've been harvesting from some pretty fertile fields the last few years. And we've had talent.
I thought you were talking about quarantine. Phew.
Yeah, don't worry. Take it easy. I've like the last 2 Augusts, I specifically remember pleading with people to not let the last 2 seasons go by without appreciating, for example, Jonathan Allen and some of the ability that we had on defense that never came to fruition. And I understand the players have to play and make plays, and I understand our offense put our defense in bad spots. But like schematically, whatever you want to call it, it wasn't working. And I don't necessarily think that it was always a lack of talent, even though we might have been playing our eighth or ninth cornerback by the end of the season. So I don't. I just don't understand the argument about why you wouldn't bring in talent like Chase Young because you want to add talent at a different position. Because you still got to pick number 2 overall. So unless you think Okuda is, I mean, unless you think he's better than I think he is, you can't take him over Chase Young, and you can't take CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Judy over Chase Young, and you can't take a quarterback over Chase Young because you just drafted one last year in the first round, and you're paying him to be your guy. So again, there's just nothing that's not logical about the Chase Young pick, and when the Redskins make it, I think we'll all be able to say that the Washington Redskins did the easy thing right that they've not done. And again, guys, I'm talking about drafting Chase Young versus drafting another player. I still understand the Redskins could trade down, and I'm not saying that would be a terrible situation. But drafting a different player at number 2 overall, whose name isn't Chase Young, would be historically stupid, and I don't think there's any chance of that happening. But people are arguing about it, and I don't get it.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Well,
Take the best player.
yeah. Hey, that's my opinion. I'm not saying someone else's opinion is incorrect. This is how I feel. I'm not obviously. I don't have a degree in this, but it is fun to talk about. And yes, we have some heartstrings around here, but yeah, whatever.
The only player in that top 5 that I think Rivera would. I'm sorry, Kevin. The only player in that top 5 that I think Rivera would even take a look at is Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. I think that's the only guy that would intrigue him.
Yeah. Well, moving forward from that, this is our guy. Whatever.
This is our guy.
Without a doubt.
We real quick. I said a year ago. I thought, hey, don't worry about this Trent Williams thing. Blah blah. This will take care of itself by the draft in the spring. It might not. I don't know if it has to. What are the odds in your guys' minds on a percentage scale that Trent Williams is a Washington Redskin next year?
27% chance.
27%?
30.
I'm gonna go. I'm right around there. I'm gonna say 33% chance.
Yeah, it's right around there.
I'll take 26%, Dana Carvey. I'll take the lowest bid because I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, it just depends. We can't do anything. Here's the weird thing, and Andrew from Companies referenced it earlier. If we keep him and he plays and then leaves, everyone thought we'd get a 3rd-round compensatory pick for him. But there's some obscure rule that if you're a 10-year player, then you leave, the team would only receive a 5th-round compensatory pick. So I don't know if I said that clearly, if I understand it myself.
Yeah, that's the story out there.
That's what I'm to understand. So.
Yep.
Keeping him doesn't really benefit us getting that 3rd-round pick back the final year because the most we can get, if we do keep him for a year, is that 5th round. But either way, at a minimum, we're going to get a 5th-round pick.
What if he does? What if he does get cleared? He does. Nobody can find a trade for him, and he's faced with either sitting out another year, which I don't know if he can do, or playing for the Redskins. He's going to look out for only himself.
He's got to play. The CBA rules don't allow holdouts.
He isn't going to be, in the trenches, hurt. Trying to pull it out for a team that may be going 6-6 at some point. You know what I mean?
He has no leverage.
I just don't think it works out
because of the CBA. So holding out no longer has any leverage. And the idea for the Redskins, if you're the Redskins, you go to Trent Agent and be like, listen, man, we're stuck. We have to get rid of one of the best left tackles in the game. Fine. You forced our hand. You helped us get rid of Bruce Allen. Awesome. We'll trade you. But now you can't then go to all these other teams and say, trade for me. By the way, you also have to sign me to a $25 million a year contract, which that team will do if it only has to give us a 4th-round pick. So Trent's agent needs to Trent has to feel some pain, and the Redskins are gonna end up feeling some pain because they got to get rid of Trent. But you also go to Trent's agent and you say we have to play somebody at left tackle next year, and the only real options out there after all this goes down, if we don't replace him in the draft, we're gonna have to sign somebody. We're gonna have to sign probably somebody Trent your age, somewhere in the early 30s who's been released and is looking for an opportunity. And that 1 year contract is gonna look a hell of a lot like the one you're freaking playing under this year. So Trent, you have a couple options. You can play for the Redskins on a 1 year contract for what you have right now, or you can lower your demands to the rest of the league so that we can get better than a fourth or a fifth round pick in exchange for you, and you can still get your big payday. I mean, I do think that's the story that's somehow making its way back to Trent's agent, and I hopefully that'll save us between now and next Thursday.
And Ken, here's the other story involving that specifically. There, one of the biggest roadblocks right now, aside from all the crap that the agent has started, which is obvious, and you just pointed out, no physical exam possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's very strange. You can't make a deal without a guy like Trent who sat out last year with multiple football injuries and specifically
he was going to take that risk.
Melanoma removed from his head. If anyone needs to get a physical for this to pass through, Trent would be the first guy on the list, and it's not happening.
You need a home inspection on that one.
Unless the doc's got the old clown hand that knows how to say look left and cough, I don't see it going down.
We need 6-foot arms.
Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers agreed upon an independent doctor that did the physical for him in contractual language that they both agreed to. It worked out, and he's Tom Brady, and he's doing great living in Jeter's house right now. I don't know if we get that type of deal with Trent and with the team to be named. You know, that's another degree of detail that needs to be worked out. And there's a lot of other stuff flying around right now in the last week, so that's what leads me to believe he might not get traded before draft day just because of circumstance. And no one's going to put their neck out there like that and make this big trade and have it rescinded because Trent doesn't pass the physical. Not happening. So that's a big impediment moving forward. And that's why I think this thing could drag out a little bit and maybe give a little more percentage of the Washington Redskins having a guy like Trent. And let's be honest, that locker room would welcome him back with open arms. And as long as he makes it right with Rivera, and if that thing gets straightened out, there's a 1 in 3 chance. So,
that's a great point.
And Eric Anderson, TW, does not get booed if he plays for the Redskins this year. I promise you. In fact, he'll get the standing O because he was instrumental in us getting rid of Bruce Allen. And if he's playing for us, we're super happy that he's playing for us. But I'll just throw one more aspect to this, guys, because I believe that the National Football League will exist this season. I believe that that's true. The NFL will play games. There will be a Super Bowl. I think all that's happening. I, honest to God, don't have any reason not to think that in this second. However, in a high-stakes game between an agent and a professional football team where the general manager is hunkered down in his basement and is going to conduct a draft for the first time ever from said basement, that agent might be able to, on the phone, say, here's the deal. Don't trade us. We're not playing football this season anyways because of this whole shutdown. So we'll just take our check from you guys for a season that no one's playing, and then we'll be free agent next year. So how do you like that? I'm not saying that to, I don't know. I mean, at some point, this is a lose-lose-lose.
Not a terrible roll of the die for Trent Williams' agent right now.
Dude, I don't know what dice he's playing with anyways. Those aren't regular dice.
Yeah, no, he's been drinking.
Rear view mirror dice or something, it's only like 3 sides. Just weird. All right. Well, let's since we're talking a little bit now about it, I did ask the question today on the 6-pack. And yeah, Greg, dude, they're not in an office. It's not a home office. They're doing the draft from the basement. Greg Martin thinks they're working in a home office. Or a toilet with a laptop. Probably toilet with a laptop for the Browns and probably the Dolphins. Otherwise, it's Jerry Jones. Like, Jerry Jones' war room is probably nicer. His home war room is probably nicer than the one at the stadium. So I asked on the thread today, in a respectful, reverent way, I would never in a million years wish for a global pandemic, and nothing really great, is to be expected from it. However, the sports world is shut down. We have 4 sports teams that we pay attention to and love here in D.C. Everyone watching and following along on the board might be from somewhere else. You got your own teams in that town. Everyone's off. What are the pros and cons for specifically our four DC teams, and how would we rank them in terms of total benefit? And I'll get things started by just talking about the Wizards, and then we can move on from the Wizards. The Washington Wizards were contending for nothing. The John Wall story was coming to a terrible conclusion, as half the fans thought he was actually going to suit up and play for a team that had no chance of making the playoffs, and everyone else was wondering why in the hell would he ever consider doing anything remotely like that. And there was this whole big discussion about whether or not Bradley Beal should be shut down so you don't put extra miles on those tires, since he's in a no-trade situation with the Wizards, and them not playing basketball right now is it's certainly not bad. I'm not going to say it's good, but the Washington Wizards aren't losing anything. In
I'll
fact,
agree with that.
so for the Washington Wizards, the shutdown isn't hurting them too bad.
No, it
No.
actually might be a slight positive that they're not playing right now because it was so bad for so long right there at the end. I mean, Bradley Beal was scoring 40 plus almost per night, but they weren't winning. They weren't going anywhere. It's almost better that they just take the time off.
Anyone want to?
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
One
more.
of those one of those NFL GMs that's doing his draft business from the toilet. He just hit flush on that Wizard season, and no one's ever going to remember. So
No.
kudos
No.
to the Wizards for what just went down.
In some ways, it really worked out for them.
Hmm.
Again, I'm
They're
trying.
my number one.
I think. Well, I don't think they made out the best. I just think they paid
I'll
zero
just go
penalty.
thumbs up, thumbs down. I think it's a thumbs up for them to have the time off.
Okay, but we're still gonna have to rank. I think so. They get their first in the clubhouse. The shutdown has certainly not harmed them in any way whatsoever that we can discern. Let's talk about the Caps. Anyone want to start off on the Caps?
Well, just real quick, I'm with EOA. More time for John Wall to recover is another awesome point.
True.
Let's let that happen. Why,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we? We're paying him approximately $50 million next year. We might as well get some rest for the
He's
guy.
getting Alex Smith
The Caps.
money. The less chance you have of ever playing the sport again, apparently in this town, means more of a guaranteed contract.
Well, the Caps get screwed because
Hardcore,
yeah,
hardcore.
there ain't going to be a hockey season. So you know.
And
same way
from
the
what I
Wizards
understand,
benefit from that.
from what I understand about hockey too, it's a rhythm game. It's about momentum. It's about that kind of stuff. They started playing some good hockey right before it all came down, and that's what you wanted at the end of a regular season to take care of you into the playoffs. And then now it's all just it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's tough to be a Caps fan right now.
Well, it's easy to love the Caps because they're great. They've been one of the best teams in the NHL from the first game of the season. They were well ahead in the lead, and I think when things stopped, they were no longer the number one team in the league. But they're going to the playoffs, and they were a Stanley Cup contender by virtue of their veteran roster that just freaking won a Stanley Cup, within the last year.
It doesn't better their chances for making it next year. Let's put it that way. They had a better chance,
Well, I
this
would
close.
on
They're
that
already coming
team.
off of the championship,
Sports
repeating
Maniac,
again.
if they win, we lose a ton of wins, not just competition, nightly wins
Yep.
when they don't get to play.
Yep.
It sucks.
Our average daily sports fan experience suffers with the Caps side on because they win more than they lose on a daily basis. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And T, I would disagree with you. I think if I'm looking for a silver lining for the Caps, it is the tread on the tire because they're a team that would make the playoffs. They would have a good chance of going deep, and they got our core of our roster is not getting any younger. Ovechkin is going to play for
Well,
a
no,
while.
that's my point. It's not getting younger, so the opportunity is going to be less the more years you.
Well, no,
you
they're not getting
more years
younger,
out.
so they're getting rest now. I mean, a half of a season and a 3 or 4 round playoff. Again, I'd rather watch them play the season and contend for the Stanley Cup. I'm just saying, since they're not, those games that Alex Ovechkin doesn't play. I mean, he's like Kobe Bryant in the sense of in LeBron James in the sense of how many total games guys like that
I'm just
play.
looking at it as we're one step closer to Ovechkin not playing hockey anymore. And hanging up
Oh,
the
he's got a
skates.
while to go.
I would have liked to have had him had that opportunity this year.
Me too. I'm trying to find the silver lining. I think the lack of tread is beneficial to him because I think he plans on sticking around for a while anyways.
As I'm sitting here longing for donuts, I think you guys just did the old 6 of one, half dozen of another right there. And,
Probably, you're right.
I appreciate you guys reminding me that I haven't had donuts in forever. There's not a lot of delivery donut places. You know what I mean?
I want a bottle of
There
Intamins.
should be. Maybe the First Amendment Sports could be a donut delivery service too.
I just delivered some Intamins crumb cake donuts to myself.
Reach in for like wholesale donuts anymore. It's kind of not on the radar for us, and it's really putting a dent in my caloric intake.
Playoffs starting in August would end after. Sorry, Craig. I don't know if they're going to do that. But all right, so let's talk about the Nats, the Washington Nationals. I think they benefit greatly. For they live on as the defending champs. Right, instead of watching baseball, March and April baseball, we're still getting reruns of the Nats winning the World Series. In every sport, the team that wins has the shortest off season. So Strasburg and Scherzer and some of the older guys, have had more opportunity to rest. They're not going to get a full load. I like that. I like the idea of Scherzer and Strasburg getting to the playoffs of whatever the playoffs of this baseball season are, with 30 or 40 or 50 less innings. That might be pretty meaningful.
I agree, Ken. When you said this 3 weeks ago, I was just still pissed about the fact that we didn't have baseball on opening day. I didn't jump all over it, but I couldn't agree more. You're sitting here looking at, especially Max and Strauss. These guys, they pitched a combined extra 66 innings in the postseason, and between the two of them, an extra 1,000 pitches. And as non-spring chickens, we understand what that means.
Yep.
But the thing that jumped out to me as I was looking at that today, how about these two dudes? Every time one of those two dudes appeared in the postseason for the Nats, we won. Never once did one of those guys cross the white line and throw a pitch in a game in the postseason that we did not win. We were 10-0 when one of those guys appeared. That's amazing to me. Let's put those guys on the shelf for a while. We all know that, May 24th? We don't need to do nothing until then, regardless, because we didn't last year besides dig ourselves a hole. So if we get to early June, not 22 games under 500, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, we didn't play baseball last year until late May. So, yeah, it
exactly.
makes perfect sense.
Exactly. I think the only weird thing is, how do you recover from spring training? These guys are so diabolical with their games and their plans, but everyone's got to adjust, and I'm sure they'll be just fine with their training and all that. And those guys are animals at what they do. I love both of them desperately. The one thing you did write about in that six-pack that gets me, Ken, when I'm watching these games every night, seeing Rendon not at third base. Forget about seeing him in an Angels uniform. For me, it's going to be seeing Carter Kieboom coming out.
Yep.
Or Asdrubal Cabrera coming out. And not having number 6 on the hot corner. Because what he did in that postseason, good Lord.
Game 6.
I'm going to miss that guy desperately.
Last night, Game 6. It happened just last night. In Houston, we had 5 RBIs in a must-win on the road, elimination game in the freaking World Series, and he backed up every single one of his teammates, and he backed up his manager in a huge way. So I put that down in the plus column for the Nats because as a fan, watching one of your favorite players play for a different team is always one of the most heart-wrenching moments for me personally. And we've had to go through it a few times now in the last few seasons from a variety of sports standpoints, different leagues. In baseball, it happened recently. So not having had to tear off that Band-Aid yet has also been beneficial to me.
I agree. Nats are number one in the clubhouse in this discussion in terms of what this layoff would mean for them. Having that time off, I didn't know the numbers until Rain Man came up with them just now, but all that stuff makes sense. And if and when this baseball season gets up and going, I know they're going to have plenty of time to get themselves ready. And then I think it plays on the psyche too. If you have a shortened season, our guys are going to be that much more focused, and it'll be fun. I think it's going to be, if they do get this season off, it's going to be one of the best seasons, I think, in a long time, just because it's going to be quick and short, and every game's going to mean more than what they normally mean.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah.
Those things will be compacted. Each win will be like two wins, and
Yep.
conversely, the losses are going to be brutal. That's interesting to think about when that happens that way. And we got our DC boys of summer, and you know what? We don't need them until the summer, and the country doesn't need it until it's possible. I'm not really sure about this Arizona thing, but whatever. I'm just looking forward to everything to get back to full normalcy. And our two number one aces, Ken. I think they're both number ones.
They are both number
Put them on
ones.
the put them on the ice for a little bit.
But we're gonna be mainlining baseball when it starts because you're not the NHL playoffs. I think we've all agreed aren't gonna happen. Sorry, James. James is just getting in and he missed us talk about the Caps. Basically, James. Basically, we said the Caps are screwed the most. One of the most hardest ways by the shutdown since they were contenders. But for the Nats, I just feel like like Kevin, you're right. They're both number ones. It's gonna suck watching our guy go somewhere else. But the fact that when baseball comes back, it's going to be like the purest form of sports drug that has we've ever seen. It'll be the only show in town. No NBA, no NHL. Just just the first like few weeks of a baseball season that's really never that good. I mean, we mostly watch teams play for 3 weeks in cold weather all over the country after opening day, and no one even goes to the games. We talk about how much we missed it, and we look at empty stadiums for the most part around the country in like 48-degree weather as guys are wearing long sleeves. We're gonna get baseball right in like the peak of the season, weather-wise, and these guys will have had extra time to rest, and our team's the defending champs, so it's immediately, watchable and viewable and awesomeable right out of the gate. James says
Yeah,
Benjamin
you're
is
going to free
okay.
base baseball. So
We're
that's
gonna
what you're
free.
telling everyone.
Thank
That's
you,
fair.
thank you. I mean, it's be like the first beer you ever drank. That first Strasburg start of the season. I mean, it's going to
I
be
wonder, I
amazing.
wonder, I wonder, outside of the baseball purists, if there is a shortened season and people do get, way into it, even especially the people who may not have normally been into baseball because it's so long of a season and, sometimes a Tuesday night game doesn't mean anything. Uh, that that hurts them the year after when they go back to the regular schedule. And people are like, well, you know what? I kind of liked it better when it was
Yeah,
more important every single game, and it was a little bit more exciting.
Well,
I
either way, we'll take it any way we can get it these days.
that's right.
These days, for sure.
James has gone right to thank. By the way, he's got a good production note. Benjamin's getting a lot of play. I'm off to the side. It's more of a Benjamin show tonight. It's not about.
I
It's
miss
supposed to be about me.
Benjamin too.
He misses you. He misses both of you guys.
You guys have lost your damn minds.
I think about Benjamin from time to time. Is that weird too, Kev?
Yeah, that's not weird.
Well, why don't you just let me cut you off right now as a friend and not let you say that next sentence? La 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 la.
Blink, Benjamin.
Hey,
What do you got?
I
Kev?
will say this before we're done with the Nats. I was my pain was eased today as I noticed that Max Scherzer's the third highest paid guy in the league and Strasburg's the fourth. If we were to sign him to the contract that he signed, we would have three of the top four players in Major League Baseball on one team. I get that.
That
And
takes
Andrew
balls.
Humphreys gets it also. Exceptionally weird.
All right, let's talk about the Redskins. How does the layoff affect the Redskins? In that, of all the leagues, it's the only league where they can actually do what they are supposed to be doing this time of year. No other league can do that. None of the other major four can do it. They all are sitting at home trying to do it, and they can't do it. The NFL is doing it. But there's still a shutdown. They're still can't do shit. Are the Redskins better off? Are they making the most of this? Do you think this is a good scenario for Washington?
T, I'm going to jump in here real quick and say this. This
Yeah.
reminds me of what we're all doing. We're sitting around this house. It's time for a new beginning, correct? We're all sitting here watching this new beginning unfold, this new regime. We substituted one of the grimiest for one of the classiest, and we're watching how he's going to work. He is going into the house that needs a scrub down. And right now, we get a front row seat. We're seeing it right from our Zoom camera angle of Ron Rivera scrubbing Ashburn from top to bottom. He is sanitizing that place in a way that's needed it for so long. This is a decade-long spring cleaning, and we get front row seats at it. And so far, so good. You don't want to play nice. You don't want to play here. Beat it. You don't like the way it's done around here. Beat it. We got 30 guys that are 60 on one-year deals competing their ass off to figure it out in the octagon of Redskin, Burgundy, and Gold. Love it. We're watching this, and I know we're winning this offseason in a way that we've never won it before, and it's not important to me, but I love that we get to peek in on this with nothing else going on and get this excited about the scrub down of Ashburn.
Well,
It needed to scrub
I
down.
don't have as good of a metaphor as Kevin does for this, but the way I see it is that on April 14th, this whole shutdown thing, as far as the Redskins go, really means nothing. It's business as usual. However, if this shutdown lasts longer into, say, like June, I think it starts having a little bit of a negative impact if they don't start getting some of those guys in, some of their rookies, some of their new guys, and start getting some cohesion and stuff, because you can't right the ship, Kevin, if you don't have the guys, as we were talking about earlier, that Rivera can look in the eyes and start whipping into the shape that he wants them in and change that culture with his, getting his hands dirty. So as of right now, I don't think this shutdown really affects them at all. But the closer you get to the season, if this stuff is still affecting people to get together, it could start having it could be a problem.
Well, my converse to that, T, which I agree with, but my converse to that is with a man helming the ship like Ron Rivera, I believe in him in a time of disaster, which is what we're going through right now, more so than I would imagine the other 31 head coaches, minus a handful of obvious choices. I think we have a guy right now that's going to keep this squad together. There's a reason now. There's a whole new beginning, a new chapter, and people want to be part of this brand new scenario. I am hoping all of this as we're watching this. Like I said, no one cares about going 1-0 on an off season. But I love that we have a guy like that steering the ship during this this time of what's the term here? Rocky waters doesn't mean anything to anyone. But I like when you guys interject here when I get stuck. So why don't you jump on in?
I think he's operating in the background.
Troubled waters. I like
Troubled
He's a bridge over troubled waters.
in charge of our Burgundy and Gold ship during a time of troubled waters on the Potomac River. Yes.
All right.
Now Rivera's a bridge builder.
There you go.
Yeah, you're a bridge builder for 30 years, and forget it.
I just think that Ron Rivera is exactly the right guy because I think he's smart enough to take advantage of a situation like this. It's not his first rodeo. He knows the league. There's things he doesn't have to learn. There's things he automatically knows. And there's things he can do without. Imagine if it was business as usual, he would have daily press conferences. There would be the rigmarole and the circus that's always in town at Redskins Park this time of year, and reporters and demands, just all the demands in a time when we need the things we need him to do, while they also involve drafting the right players and signing good free agents. The things that we need him to focus on the most are the things that he probably was going to have a hard time finding the extra time to do well, and he's got that now. He can literally, if he's in the building, I'm sure no one else is even allowed in there because of social distancing. I mean, he can literally do anything he wants in his role of running shit without anybody bothering him, and that's the best thing that could have ever happened to the Washington Redskins. Because imagine if this happened when Spurrier was here, or imagine if this happened when we had Bruce Allen. Imagine if Bruce Allen was left to his own devices and no supervision whatsoever, able to be in his basement and to do terrible things without the world looking in. I mean, the Redskins are so much better off in this moment. I just have a hard time, maybe even a hard time ranking them below the Nats.
Maybe. Think about Bruce Allen in charge during this time. Still, if we did fire him, that would be some shit. We'd be having a different show tonight, the boys.
Bruce, Vinny, obviously Spurrier. I mean, there's just no end to the damage that could have been done. I mean, even though I liked Zorn, coaches like Zorn that we've hired would have been. This time would have been lost. It would have been lost time. All the time that they would have, Spurrier, God knows where he would be and what he would be doing. Zorn having never done it before and having nobody around him to help him do whatever it was he thought he was supposed to be doing would never have happened. I mean, Rivera can literally make it work without anyone having to tell him what it has to look like because it's going to look like what he wants it to look like. And he actually has now he has the space to work to make it happen. So I have the Redskins number 1 even over the Washington Nationals in terms of beneficiaries of this scenario.
I do agree. I do think I can agree with you there, Ken. I think I can feel that, and I do think it's because it's what we got right now, and it's who we are. But there's no doubt that there'd be Bud Light cans everywhere, James Rainey.
Well, just because I was so nice to you to begin the show, Ken, I do have to say I disagree.
Okay.
Again, I don't think that this thing really helps them. If anything, it may hurt them a little bit because other organizations that have head coaches in place and have had them there for a long time don't have as much to ramp up for an entire season. Everything's already set in place. When you're talking about NFL football and a new coach, a lot of stuff has to change, and it's hard to make those changes. So, unfortunately, we got to end the show on a disagreement.
No. I think it's two schools of thought. I think you guys are both nailing it. I think you're being specific to this coming up season, and I think part of the exuberance of what's going on down there in Northern Virginia and D.C. right now is the excitement of a brand new beginning, an era, more so than just this particular fall. So I think you're both correct, and I see it as two ways of thinking about it.
Well, we'll get to ultimately have not a final analysis, but coming out of the layoff, we'll see what the Nats do, and if the arms connected to Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer are better off for the lack of work in the early season. And then we'll see how Ron Rivera hits the ground running, after this draft. We'll see if I don't know. We'll see if the Washington Redskins, can't get that one thing right again. It was the hire, so I'll give Dan Snyder the credit for that. If we get this part, if that happens for us, well, it will be because it's Ron Rivera, and Dan Snyder did hire Ron Rivera, so I won't ignore that fact, but. Ron Rivera is the perfect person for the Washington Redskins for so many reasons, and not having to be hassled with the chaos that the NFL loves to create on an hour-by-hour basis, even in the off season, is just a absolute boon for the ability for Ron Rivera to work. What do we know about him more than we know almost anything else about him? Is that he's a worker. He's a hard worker. He believes in the value of hard work. He preaches it. He's been doing it his whole life. That's how he's succeeded. I guarantee you he's working right now, and he's able to work more efficiently, and he's able to work better in a time like this when no one's bothering him.
Lombardi style.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, I really appreciate you carving out some Tuesday night for us, and we will. It won't just be Benjamin and I on video for very much longer. We are racing towards a solution to this issue, and we will get it figured out.
Ken has very high video quality standards, and we're working on it. He's going to get it fixed.
If it has to be Zoom, that might be a fallback. But I don't know. Everyone now spends all their
time on
Zooms.
You hear the disappointment in his face, in his voice there, Ken?
What's that? Oh, sorry.
The disappointment in your face if it has to be the Zoom.
Yeah. All I want to do is rub my Zooms. Anyway.
Everybody's Zooming, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to Zoom.
I want to. My background is going to have my refrigerator as my version of Benjamin.
That's so good.
I know T's got a nice setup, but there's so many options.
So many options. I think the refrigerator's the winner, though. I think you knocked it out of the park with your first swing.
Yeah, well, it's been a very important staple of my last month. So, any other questions that the board wants to talk about or recipes, it's fine with me.
Oh, man. Well, we will be back tomorrow night at 5 p.m. with an interview with the University of Maryland football head coach Mike Loxley. And then we have programming next Tuesday night ahead of the draft, and then we'll be here on Thursday night, at least an hour before the Bengals officially go on the clock, with some cool guests that are
Special guests.
special guests, special guests.
We
Until
might surprise the hell out of this board. This board deserves it.
this board does deserve it. They deserve to get a couple cool. Robin of Loxley will not be there. Craig Martin, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Well, but I might wear tights for the draft just in the hopes.
I see. That's your fault, Craig. You did that.
Yeah,
All right,
Dave Chappelle's premiere. So,
he's Kevin Ricka.
hey man, I'm just sitting here thinking, if we draft Cameron Dansel out of Mississippi State in the third round, you got to do that extra 7 minutes with Smooth stat. There's so many little nuances of these drafts, and I would only wear a Ravens jersey if we ran out of toilet paper and I had scissors readily available.
He's Tim Strachan.
I can't top that, man. This has been awesome. Again, it's the only thing I got on my calendar each week. Looking forward to next Tuesday, but definitely join us tomorrow, Wednesday, 5 p.m. with Mike Loxley. We got other great stuff ahead for the next week.
I'm Ken Marangolo, and on behalf of First Amendment Sports and Basement Podcast Studios all across this land, this was Thank God It's Tuesday. Appreciate it, guys. And yes, Eric Anderson, we are still live. You too, Brian Sanders.
Be safe, everyone. Thank you guys very much. Hang in there.
Hang in there, y'all.
Still live.